Hello there, and welcome to another week of Language Bites with me, Cata, your host for this couple of minutes, in which we're going to take a look at one aspect of the English language. And today, that aspect is using questions. Now, I know this question may sound a bit silly for you. What's the point of questions? But bear with me. We're going to go back to this and try to answer it at the very beginning of this video. In the meantime, as I said, bear with me. In English, we have two big kinds of questions based on the information. We can categorize them as yes no questions or as WH questions, as I said, depending on the kind of answer we receive. Yes no questions, such as is this the best solution, have for an answer yes or no. As in this case, yes, after detailed research, we're convinced it is. Now, even though the possible answers are yes or no, it's not polite to simply say yes or no. It is expected to add a little bit of more information or context to the answer. Now, with WH questions, the answer depends on the WH word. For example, where did you study for your MBA? Asks for a place. That is why it starts with where. So in the answer, we find that place. In Stanford. Why do you ask? But that's the end of the conversation for us. But that why would receive a reason for an answer, right? So let's move on to some other ways in which we can make questions. We can make questions by means of modal verbs, and these are a great option if we want to sound more polite because it makes the question less direct. As in, would you say that you're a team player? Instead of saying, are you a team player? Or may I ask if you're likely to accept this job? Instead of saying, will you accept this job? See that the other options, are you a team player and will you accept this job, sound much more straightforward. And perhaps sometimes the context doesn't call for being so straightforward. So these structures, modal verbs, help make our questions more polite and indirect. And if of indirectness is that we're talking about, we have indirect questions. The characteristic of these questions is that we create that same effect of, well, requesting information, avoiding the structure of a question. If you pay attention, questions require a certain inversion and other elements that appear. But with indirect questions, we can create that same effect with the word order and the elements of a sentence, of a statement. As in, I'd like to know how many days the factory is closed for. Now, I can also achieve these by means of statements. As in, and you're trained as a lawyer before moving into banking? Yes, that's right. Now, this is particularly common in speech, and so we mark this intrigue or this request by means of a rise in our intonation. If we want to refer to this by writing, we should put a question mark to show that this is a sort of question. And we can do so by means of parts of speech, as in, and your other interests? Again, instead of saying, and what about your other interests? Or what are some of your other interests? And you only use this phrase, again, with the rise in intonation. I like football and tennis. So, question tags, last structure. Question tags are little questions that you find at the end of, well, questions. And they appear, at the end of statements. They are a minor question in the sense that they respect this inversion. And we can use them to check information, to confirm information, to see that the other person agrees with what we're saying. So here are two examples. They say they arrived around 9 p.m., didn't they? Didn't, auxiliary, they, this inversion. And the same applies for, it's probably not a good idea, is it? Notice that usually when we find a positive or affirmative statement, as in the first case, we find a negative question tag. And the other way around. When the statement is negative, it's probably not a good idea, then the question tag is affirmative. So let's go back to that question that we that I asked you earlier on, what's the point of questions? Now, probably your answer was asking for information. And even though that would be correct, we can do so much more with questions. We can check that the audience follows or understands, as in, it's not, is it a question of threats but opportunities? Do you see? We can use them to set up and introduce a subject, as in, what are our objectives for the coming year? Well, first of all, we hope to. This is a question that was never meant to be answered, but to introduce a subject, um, awaken a sense of curiosity, hook the audience. You can use them to give yourself time to think, especially in presentations, as in, and how can I put this? Well, we have decided that you can use them even to challenge what someone has said or someone's opinion, as in, and you really believe that these measures will have an effect, do you? And finally, you can use them to lead someone, as in, don't you think that it's better to wait? So, see all the things that we can do simply by questioning. You know the drill. Practice makes perfect. What's the point of this if you're not going to go ahead and practice your English? So make sure to follow the link in the description box to access two activities on today's topic. And since you're here, why don't you stay a little longer and check out some more videos? In any case, thanks for watching. Bye.